In 146 BC, Rome didn't just defeat Carthage, they erased it. They burned the city for 17 days. They enslaved 50,000 people. They sowed the ground with salt so that nothing would ever grow there again. Historians tell you this was about territory. They tell you it was about hatred or glory or the ego of generals. They are lying. Rome destroyed Carthage because Rome was bankrupt. The Senate had debased the silver denarius to pay for decades of expansion. The only way to keep the legionnaires loyal, to keep the mob fed, and to prevent the collapse of the Roman currency was to plunder the wealth of a rival empire. War wasn't a political choice, it was an economic necessity. Fast forward to 1938. The United States is still crushed under the weight of the Great Depression. Unemployment is at 19%. The New Deal has failed to restart the heart of the economy. The debt is mounting. The system is dead. 3 years later, unemployment is effectively zero. Factories are running 24 hours a day. The GDP is exploding. What happened? Did they find a magic solution? No, they found a war. We are taught that war breaks economies. That is the greatest trick the devil ever pulled. For the bankers, for the sovereign state, and for the architects of the fiat system. War doesn't break the economy. War fixes it. And right now, looking at the bond markets, looking at the debt-to-GDP ratios, and looking at the undeniable mathematical trap the Federal Reserve is caught in, the system is screaming for a fix. The cycle has returned, the debt is unpayable, the reset is coming, and history shows there is only one way to wipe the slate clean without admitting failure. Welcome to the war reset. Let's look at the ledger. Not the lies they tell you on CNBC, but the raw, terrifying arithmetic. Global debt has surpassed $315 trillion. That is 3 times the size of the entire global economy. In the United States alone, the federal debt is accelerating by $1 trillion every 100 days. To simply service the interest on this debt, not to pay it back, just to pay the interest, the US is now spending more than it spends on its entire defense budget. Think about that. The cost of the past is now consuming the ability to defend the future. This is what economists call a debt trap. It is a mathematical event horizon. Once you cross it, there is no return. You cannot tax your way out. If you tax the population at 100%, it wouldn't cover the unfunded liabilities. You cannot grow your way out, the debt is growing faster than productivity. So, you have 2 options. Option A, default. You admit the money is gone. The government stops paying bondholders, pension funds vanish, the stock market goes to zero. The US dollar loses its status as the world reserve currency. Society collapses into chaos. The politicians are dragged into the streets. Option B, inflation. You print the money to pay the debt. You devalue the currency so that the debt becomes worthless. You pay back your creditors in paper that buys nothing. But here is the problem with option B. If you just print money during peacetime, people get angry. They notice the price of eggs, the price of gas, the price of housing. They riot. They vote you out. You need a reason to print. You need an excuse that is so terrifying, so patriotic, and so overwhelming that the population begs you to print money. You need an existential threat. When a war starts, nobody asks about the deficit. Nobody cares about inflation. They care about survival. War allows the state to seize total control of the economy, lock down the exits, and print infinity, all while being cheered as heroes. The math says the current system is terminal. The math says we need a reset. And the architects know that you will never accept a reset during peace. To understand where we are going, we have to look at the last time we were here. The parallels between the 2020s and the 1930s are not just similar, they are identical. In 1929, the credit cycle burst. A decade of easy money and speculation crashed into reality. The 1930s were a period of currency wars. Countries devalued their currencies to try and boost exports. It was a race to the bottom. Does that sound familiar? Look at the Japanese yen today. Look at the Chinese yuan. Look at the fracturing of the global trade system. We are seeing the exact same protectionism rise again. Tariffs, sanctions, trade blocs. In the 1930s, the global powers realized that the pie was shrinking. When the pie shrinks, you stop trading with your neighbor and you start looking at his slice. Germany was crushed by debt, reparations from WWE. The Weimar hyperinflation wiped out the middle class. How did Hitler revitalize the German economy? It wasn't through innovation, it was through Mefo bills, a shadow banking scheme to fund rearmament off the books. He put the unemployed men in factories to build tanks. He put the women in factories to build bombs. The economy recovered on paper, but it was a recovery built on a promise that the debt incurred to build the weapons would be paid for by the plunder of the conquered nations. In the United States, the New Deal was running out of steam by 1937. The Roosevelt recession hit. The stock market crashed again. The populace was restless. Then came Pearl Harbor. Suddenly, the Federal Reserve's balance sheet didn't matter. The government took over industry. Rationing was introduced. Price controls were mandated. And the debt exploded to 120% of GDP. But here is the magic trick. After the war, that debt wasn't paid back. It was inflated away. The post-war inflation, combined with the destruction of America's industrial competitors, allowed the US to grow out of the hole. They used the war to restructure the global financial order. Bretton Woods, the IMF, the World Bank, the dollar standard. All of these institutions, the very cages we live in today, were born from the ashes of the last great kinetic war. They cannot build a new system until they destroy the old one. How exactly does war fix the debt? It's brutal, but efficient. First, asset destruction. In a peacetime economy, there is a surplus of supply. Too many goods, not enough buyers. This leads to deflation, which is a nightmare for debtors. War destroys supply. It bombs factories. It sinks ships. It destroys infrastructure. This creates artificial scarcity. Scarcity drives up prices. Rising prices is inflation. Inflation melts debt. Second, population reduction. It is dark, but it is true. Pension obligations are the single biggest liability for most Western governments. An aging population is expensive. They consume healthcare and social security but do not produce. War changes demographics. It alters the labor supply. It rebalances the equation between capital and labor. Third, and most importantly, financial repression. This is the term economists use when the government steals your money without you realizing it. During a war, the government forces banks and pension funds to buy war bonds. They cap interest rates. They forbid you from moving your money abroad. They lock you in the room with the inflation. Imagine you have $100,000 in savings. The war starts. Inflation hits 20%. The government forces you to buy bonds that pay 2%. In real terms, you are losing 18% of your wealth every year. After 5 years, your purchasing power has been cut in half. Where did that wealth go? It didn't disappear. It was transferred from you to the state. The state's debt became manageable because your savings became worthless. This is the war reset. It is a massive wealth transfer from the saver to the borrower, enforced by the barrel of a gun. And who is the biggest borrower in the history of the world right now? The United States government. They need financial repression. They need to lock you in the burning building. And the only way to lock the doors is to declare a state of emergency that only a world war can justify. So, where does the spark come from? The architects are already laying the cables. Look at the weaponization of the US dollar. When the US froze the Russian central bank assets in 2022, they crossed the Rubicon. They told the world, your money is safe until we disagree with you. This forced the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, to accelerate their de-dollarization. They are hoarding gold. They are settling trade in local currencies. China is dumping US treasuries. Japan is propping up the yen. Saudi Arabia is selling oil for yuan. The demand for US debt is drying up. And remember, the US must sell debt to survive. If the world stops buying treasuries, interest rates in the US spike to 10%, 15%, 20%. The system implodes instantly. The US cannot allow the dollar to lose its dominance. It is the source of their power. It is the only thing that allows them to export their inflation to the rest of the world. History teaches us that when a hegemon is challenged by a rising power, war is the result 75% of the time. This is the Thucydides trap. But this time it's not just about territory, it's about the ledger. A kinetic war with China or Russia provides the ultimate excuse. Supply chains broken. Blame the war. Energy prices doubling. Blame the war. Stock market suspended. National security. Gold confiscation. Patriotic duty. We are already seeing the soft launch. The narrative is shifting. The drums are beating. The military budgets are skyrocketing across Europe and Asia. Germany is rearming. Japan is rearming. Poland is building the largest army in Europe. They know what is coming. The smart money is already moving. Central banks bought more gold in the last 2 years than at any time in the last 55 years. Why are the people who print the paper money buying the yellow metal? Because they know the paper is going to burn. We are living in the eye of the hurricane. The sky is grey, but the wind hasn't hit yet. Most people are worried about a recession. They are worried about their 401k dropping 10%. They are missing the forest for the trees. The coming collapse is not a business cycle correction. It is a sovereign debt crisis. It is the end of an 80-year credit cycle. The architects have run out of road. They have kicked the can until they hit a brick wall. There is no peaceful way to deleverage a world with $315 trillion in debt. The peace dividend of the 1990s and 2000s is over. We are entering the age of conflict. The government will come for your wealth. They will come via inflation, via taxation, and eventually via direct control of your assets under the guise of national security. The digitization of currency, CBDCs, will be the final lock on the gate. Once money is programmable, they can dictate where you spend it, when you spend it, and if you can spend it at all. War provides the perfect chaos to implement these systems. I'm not telling you this to scare you. I'm telling you this so you can see the chessboard. The pawns are being moved, the knights are in position, the king is bankrupt, and when the king is bankrupt, he sends the pawns to die. Do not be a pawn. Step outside the system. Own assets that have no counterparty risk. Gold, silver, Bitcoin, land. Things that cannot be inflated away. Things that cannot be frozen by a keystroke. The Great Reset isn't a conspiracy theory. It's a mathematical certainty. The only variable left is the body count. History is a wheel, and it is about to crush us again.